that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil FB Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire, Roy Blecker. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. Man, what a news day. I don't know how much we'll get into that. We're getting screwed on our insurance here in California. More, just terrible news on that. More double smash and grabs coming on. You thought the SoCal one was bad? So why did I stop? Thank you to the great Donald J. It's about time that we quit being and practicing stupid. Statement from Kurt Hagman, the supervisor whose home was raided here in San Bernardino County. We'll get to that and much, much more, but as we usually do right off the get-go, we get into the race report. As you saw on the screen, the one Big Diamond Raceway coming in and rolling in the fence. That was a big, humongous crash. As they say, good thing the catch fence held on that one. The Wingnuts were in Marshalltown, the famous high-banked, just absolutely fabulous racetrack there in Iowa. Here's the first on the highlight parade. Hopefully, here we go.
Turn number 3, looks to the inside. A huge move, oh boy! So, Tasker Phillips and your leader, Brady Baker, get together there in turn number 4 to bring out the caution.
I figured you'd do that once tonight.
Again, it is the passee's responsibility not to hit the passer. Period. End of story. This running into each other in sprint cars has got to stop. Whether we got to get back to the old-fashioned way of doing things, and maybe we do on a lot of fronts, but especially at the price of equipment today, you can't, not on the injury factor, everything else, quit driving. You don't come from 87 car lengths and drive it clear into the corner and run into the guy. We'll have more on that in a minute. Here's the last couple of laps. The famed Marshalltown Speedway in Iowa at the Wing 360. Getting prepared for tonight's beginning of the Knoxville Nationals. Here we go.
Flag waving in the wind. One more time around for Garrett Benson.
It's been since 1989 that a sanctioned race of organized fashion for 360 sprint cars happened here in Marshalltown. And tonight, for the return, Garrett Benson will go to victory lane in Marshalltown.
That's far too long. 89 since the sprint cars have been at the famed Marshalltown Speedway. Let's run a 410 Open show over there next year, Jerry Van Sickle. Let's get after it. KKM Series was in Hamlin with the 600 micros. Here we go.
Final time down the backstretch. Pull at the Poconos. Ibach, KKM, get back Challenge Series feature winners. Going to go with Connor Marabelli. Second, Alex Rupert. Third, Vincent Gricci.
So there you have it. The 600 micros, man, that's becoming a heck of a racing series across the board, especially the non-wing cars. I think the non-wing cars, especially on the 600 micros, put on the best show, and they seem to be getting the bigger car counts of going up. But it's a great way, great training ground, and maybe they need to start this. We're not running into each other stuff more when they're coming up the ranks in the micros, and especially the midgets. I think that's where this starts a lot. And then it gets into the sprint cars, and then you're into deep trouble. More on that. And why I brought that up of the first wreck, because we had at Oski last Monday, we had the famed Kyle Larson, Ryan Timms fracas, where Kyle Larson did basically the same thing that happened in Marshalltown. Way back there, and we'll see the aftermath of that coming up. Said what I did in the interview, and I lost the race and took it out on him and acted unprofessional. Of that coming up, it is Kyle Larson's responsibility not to hit Ryan Timms. Period. Lord. Getting the bigger car counts of going up, but it's a great way. Series macros. Great way, great, and especially the midgets. I think that's of the first wreck, because we had aftermath of that coming up. Here's Ryan Timms. After I had some time to think about it, I want to say that I shouldn't have said what I did in the interview. Kyle's a great racer, and I know that it wasn't his intention going into the corner. I was heated at the moment, and I lost the race and took it out on him and acted unprofessional. This is what in the hell is wrong with racing, in my view. Ryan Timms was right. Kyle Larson drove 6 car lengths back, drove into 3, ran into Ryan Timms in 4, took out his front wing. Lucky Ryan Timms, that's all he did, and Larson didn't crash both of them like they did in Marshalltown last night. No, Ryan Timms and Kyle Larson should have had a meeting out in the parking lot and got it straightened out right there. Not, let's get rid of this NASCAR apologizing gobbledygook. Dang it, you're in sprint cars, you're a man, have some frickin' balls and say it like it is, like you did in the beginning, and then have the balls to stand on it. This is what's wrong with society all across the board. Oh, we can't say any. Oh, I apologize because I maybe used a harsh word. Kyle Larson deserved every frickin' harsh word that he got from Ryan Timms. Dang it. Quit being a bunch of pussies out there. Don't take that crap. And if it happens, settle it like a man. We got to get rid of this. I'm going to run the video of it again. Here it is. Here's Kyle Larson. Some of this technology. Maybe I'll learn to do it someday.
He's actually going up. He's using the wall.
He is. I saw it right there. He kind of bounced.
Look at how far he's coming back. Boom.
Big move there.
Oh, contact.
It is Kyle Larson's responsibility not to hit Ryan Timms. Period. Lord. USCS race up in Santa Maria. Had a little boo-boo. From John Candy Live. Here we go. There he is. So that's some of the preview action or last Saturday night at Santa Maria Speedway. Garrett Alberson took a shot to the helmet and the visor at the North-South 100. He suffered a broken nose, and other than that, again, his doctor said he was very lucky. There's the shield. We got a big blow-up of it. There's a picture of Garrett, but you see there on the right, the big thump in the Lexan shield. Good thing it was a Lexan shield. And as he said, whatever it was, it didn't quite make it through the shield, but impacted hard enough to essentially smash the shield into my face and eye. It was so heavy, whatever it was, given to the extent of the damage to his face, we have to guess whatever came through the bars was much heavier. His shield did not shatter, which he was darn lucky. That would have really messed up his eyes, most likely, if indeed it smashed the whole helmet into his head. We were blessed that the Simpson Race products made such a durable helmet. The doctors told us it's likely saved his eyes and his life. So Garrett Alberson giving us an update on that, and it is, man, if that Lexan shield wouldn't have held, he'd have been in a heap of trouble. But it looks like hopefully he recovers soon from his injuries and gets back to the dirt late model circuit where he's one of the prime runners of that. Parnelli Jones, one-time winner of the Indianapolis 500, won it many times as a car owner, famous racer from here. Back in the day was 58 started in the Jalopies, 58 CRA Rookie of the Year, first USAC all-around sprint car champion, I believe it's 61, 63 winner of the Indy 500. Broke my heart when that turbine car quit 3 laps from the end of almost winning his second in 67. Off-road racing, Trans Am, NASCAR, he did it all. If you want to count my book, I may put him as the greatest racer of all time, and I think he'd have a hard time making that argument. No matter what type of car you put PJ in, he was fast. Rest easy, sir. On what would have been, I believe, his 93rd birthday today. Get into the rest of that. The statement from San Bernardino County Supervisor Kurt Agman on the FBI raids at his home and other places. Trump cutting off money for the bullet train, the vagrants. Hopefully trying to save California. And much, much more on today's show. It's a heck of a job. Trump's got to try to save California. Because Lord knows around here, we've been doing a hell of a job of trying to flush California down the toilet. Another interesting thing is when the computers go crazy and everything starts going this and things start shutting off and then things start speeding up and jumping around, you have to figure out what in the hell is going on? How in the hell are we going to fix this? Hopefully we don't have any more technical difficulties. On the rest of today's show, we'll give it a shot. You never know what happens in these genres. One thing that is very, 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 very perplexing. No logic to it at all. It may be even a bigger con than the COVID con. the bullet train, the stupid train, the boondoggle train. We're going to get high-speed rail. They talked the voters of California into voting a gazillion-dollar bond. When was that, 2008? 2005, something like that. They promised it would be done by 2020. LA to San Francisco, 2 hours. 200 mile an hour. They didn't see how they were going to do that because that would be nonstop. I guess, they were going to bypass Santa Barbara or San Luis Obispo, Monterey, or anywhere else. It's going to be a straight shot. They were going to pay you to get on there. They were going to pay. They were going to pay you to ride the train. It was going to be so successful. Not only would it totally pay for itself, they would have money left over to pay you to ride it. That's about as crazy as a proposal that they made. But we're stuck with this thing. $20 billion, no track. Now that the Trump administration shut off $4 billion for it, we, the people, are going to see it run out of money completely next year in 2027. Julie Watts, CBS 8 report. Coming up, hopefully. Here we go.
Gavin Newsom. That train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen.
How about mis and disinformation?
Remember when President Trump pulled $4 billion in federal funding from California's high-speed rail, and Governor Newsom said it was a political attack? Well, it turns out there's more to the story. Records reveal California high-speed rail failed to do the one thing it promised the feds, a federal judge, and taxpayers it would do: buy the trains. This is the federal funding agreement. California agreed to buy the trains by December.
They failed to do what they said they were going to do. Obama, before he went out the door in 2016, this is before that, got $4 billion of federal money to kick in on the stupid train, so all you others in the 49 could join in paying for this stupidity. And that's why it got up to this deal of going from Wasco to Merced and all this other crazy stuff. And now it's going to take longer for you to ride the bullet train from San Francisco to LA than it would be to get in your car and drive it. But because, asthma, they're all dying in Bakersfield or something, we're going to do this stupid route and all this. So Trump 1.0 got it all shut off. Then comes Biden and they revive it. Trump 2.0 comes back in at 24 and he says, no, the hell with this. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, he can shut off the money. I believe it was the Supreme Court. So Newsom and the California legislature and all the stupids were thinking, we got $4 billion more we can blow. Since we don't have any trains, but they promised to buy the train. They promised to actually buy the trains. They said, okay, they promised the federal government. This is why the judge threw it out. They promised the judge, we will buy the actual trains. They never bought the trains. More from Julie Watts.
31st, 2024. It didn't. And there were warning signs.
There's been some discussion about perhaps redesigning or reconfiguring the train sets.
Less than 2 months before the deadline, board members raised concerns about the new CEO's plan to change the train designs in the middle of the bidding process.
We may have to cancel that procurement or rewrite a new specification.
Sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt. We are in active
A
procurement,
lawyer for high-speed rail shut down the conversation.
so I'm just going to ask that we not discuss it here. I would highly recommend conversations with the CEO.
Weeks later, they missed that deadline, which the Trump administration pointed to when they pulled the federal funding.
So they left their own, California left their own lawyer hanging high and dry. She's going, oh man, I hope I don't get I bet you the caption I would put over her head would be, boy, I hope I don't get disbarred over this. To bail myself out, you better refer to the head of the high-speed rail and that I want out of here before I dig myself deeper into the hole I've already done. More from the Julie Watts report.
About 6 months later. So California sued, promising a federal judge in sworn court filings it would buy the trains by December 1st, 2025. High-speed rail missed that deadline too, canceling the board meeting where they were supposed to approve the contract. Then, just 2 days before Christmas, California quietly dropped the lawsuit. This time, no press release, just a couple sentences buried on the high-speed rail website saying the Trump administration was not a reliable partner. Why did we pull the lawsuit?
That was a client matter. It was appropriate for us to pull the lawsuit.
That's
So there you got BS Rob Bonner. Well, why did you pull? Julie Watts is legit. What the hell? You were on TV every frickin' day, BS Bonner. You and Newsom and whomever. The head of the high-speed rail, practically every day. Oh, the evil Trumpies withholding the money, and we're suing, and da-da-da. Well, why did you drop the lawsuit? Well, that's a privilege. Privilege. We are the clients. We, the people of California that are paying the bill, and the other 49 states where the $4 billion was coming from. They are the client. You have the United States of American citizens, 350 million or whatever the number is. We are the client. Tell us why you dropped the lawsuit, BS Bonner.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta at the governor's State of the State a couple weeks after he dropped the lawsuit. Meanwhile,
I debated whether or not to include this.
This is what the governor had to say that day about the status of high-speed rail.
We're also laying tracks. Laying tracks the nation's first high-speed rail system.
Except they weren't. To be clear, there are no high-speed rail tracks laid as of today.
Not yet, no.
That is the high-speed rail in
We are laying tracks today. We are laying tracks today with the big hand gestures and the... Oh, don't I look good in my $3,000 suit and my $200 haircut? We are laying tracks. Julie Watts goes over to the High-Speed Rail Commission. They say, no, we have not laid any tracks. Why? They think we're really that stupid. And they think we're that stupid because so far we've proven we've had. And we're about to elect Baccaria and re-elect Rob Bonta for that. If we do that, we deserve in California to just take billions of dollars and light it on fire, because that's essentially what they've done. $20 billion so far and counting. And now they're broke. The bond money's gone. The other 49 states can thank their lucky stars. Trump shut off the $4 billion of Fed funds that were coming in. More from Julie Watts.
Inspector General 6 months after the governor's State of the State address. And this is not high-speed rail track that Newsom and the CEO are hammering nails into. It's a prop. As for the trains...
So we had the big press release out there in Hanford, and we're laying the track, and Gavin Newsom's got his pick and shovel and whatever. Oh, isn't he the big bad construction worker? I bet you the girlies said, oh, isn't he sexy out there doing the construction work? Oh my God, my knees are knocking so hard I can't control myself. We're laying track. No, you weren't. We don't know if the moonshot, people still say that was staged in Hollywood. We know this was staged. It was a prop. They admit it. At least, if the whole moon thing was that, at least the ones that were doing it are good enough to keep their mouth shut. They admit it was a prop. There's still no tracks laid. 20 years later, 20 billion plus, zips out of nothing.
They're still officially listed as TBD. Trains that are expected to take at least 4 years to manufacture and at least another 2 to test. A countdown that was supposed to begin back in 2024.
I would highly recommend conversations with the CEO.
Governor Newsom...
There's that attorney again going, oh my gosh. I can't believe this. How am I going to bail myself? I mean, this is what I'm thinking this is what I'm saying, the caption I put over her head. How am I going to bail myself out of this?
And high-speed rail didn't answer our questions about the reason for the delays. They did send us a copy of a Biden-era federal review that found no fraud, waste, or abuse, but that was before these missed deadlines under the new CEO. For CBS California Investigates, I'm Julie Watts.
So, there's
the closest thing to fresh air in this.
The report from the great Julie Watts, who's been on this like white on rice. I mean, thank goodness for Ashley Zavala, Julie Watts, Eton Wallace, up there in Sacramento. If they weren't, they're the last three. I don't know of anybody in the, like, the Sac B is deader than a doornail. I think it's Susan Crabtree, the NY Post, or the California Post, is starting to hit it. And they're starting to do stories on it. But it's few and far between. They used to have a Capitol correspondence course up, probably hundreds. Every local station had a reporter dedicated. SACB, all the local papers. California National Court, the national networks usually had a correspondent on top of that at Sacramento. Now we're just down to Julie Watts, Eton Wallace, and Ashley Zavala, basically. It's beyond. I'm going to say beyond criminal. The Power Hour. If I remember correctly, that was Robert Schuller, the Crystal Cathedral down there in Orange County. Now, Javier Baccaria, Democrat, running for governor in the state of California, has come up with the Power Hour. Oh, you're thinking, oh, are we going to get her? Is Baccaria going to preach to us from the Capitol every Sunday? Not quite. Over what he's proposing, holy cow, I'd suspend the Constitution of no state religion, and say, okay, I take this over the proposal Bakary is trying to roll out. My goodness, here we go.
Costs. We all know that it's becoming increasingly more expensive to live here in the state of California, and one of the sectors that we all pay a little bit more for, utilities here in the state. And it was a large part of the debate amongst candidates during the primary. And now that we're in the general election, Javier Becerra has a promise to voters if he's elected governor. Becerra announced the plan yesterday. It would be called the California Power Hour. If enacted, families would get 2 free hours of electricity during the middle of the day. It could also take strain off of the grid and reduce the amount of blackouts in the state. Now, as for who would qualify, what we know right now is that the proposal would be for families of 4 making $82,500 or less.
What if you're a family of 3 or 2 or 1 or 10? So we're going to, his proposal is 2 hours during the day, while most of those that are in that situation, most people who are making $82,000 or less, are out busting their rear ends, trying to pay the ridiculous, the highest electricity and every other cost of that. They're not home. Oh, we're going to give them this free electricity when they aren't there.
It would save an estimated $1,000 a year for enrolled households. Here's more from Becerra.
How do I pay for that? Well, it just so happens that today we produce so much solar energy, electricity, that oftentimes in the afternoon, we can't make use of all of it. And so it essentially goes to waste, or we ship it off to some other state. Sometimes we have to pay to ship it out. Why don't we use it?
I can explain to you, Baccaria, why you didn't use it, why it's not being used now, and why your plan ain't going to work. Because those people are home. They're at work. Enslaving to you to make you the slave master. If they were home, they'd be using electricity, and we wouldn't have to pay Arizona, Nevada, and Utah to send the power up because nobody's using it, or less people are using it. It's not peak demand at 12 and 2 when the solar's going like... This is an easy example. You'll burn up the grid and the power lines and the substations. You run too much electricity through it, they go poof, boom, fires, destruction, billions of dollars to fix it. It would be the equivalent of taking your double-aught, big, thick battery cable going from your battery to the starter in your car and replacing it with a number 20 wire. As soon as you hit the key, it would go poof. So what happens when you're generating more electricity than the wires and the grid and the substations can do? They go poof, gone, broke, start fires, burn down communities. That's why we have to pay people to take the power. This is how stupid the greenie crap is. It's absolutely incredible.
Now, as for his opponent, Steve Hilton, the Republican has proposed a couple of measures to lower utility costs. Primarily, he wants to start a California version of DOGE, or Department of Government Efficiency, as we saw with the Trump administration. He believes that DOGE could combine 3 regulatory agencies in the energy sector into one to eliminate overlap and staff redundancy. His campaign has promised that that would reduce bills by 25%. Eric and Netta.
The labor.
There you go. The latest stupid proposal by Javier Baccaria. Again, if though the people you're giving the free power to are not going to be home, what do you think they're going to do? You're going to pay a vagrant to go over their house and turn on all the appliances, watch their TV, drink their beer or whatever's in the refrigerator, eat the leftover pizza from last night. What a freaking maroon. We are so foobarred. It's just like holy Moses and cow. How in the hell? How in the hell can you make any sense of what this doofus is doing?
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
But if you want to throw more money, more billions, burn it up in the bullet train, or free, which is not free electricity, which is going to cost you more, then vote Baccaria. If you want to stop the madness, go with Hilton and Herb Morgan and un-F California. As Jesse said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met here in a few seconds. Get on. We get to the Trump shutting off the money to the vagrants and more.
5 seconds, here we go.
App today. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMEG, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 in the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band, joining our vast video audience in the evil FB network. YouTube, check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire Roy Blecker, you'll see my nice smiling shining face. What a fence flamer at Big Diamond Raceway. You can see that. The whole, and we had some of the Tuesday racing, the Wingnuts at Marshalltown, the Micro 600s at Hamlin, and the Ryan Timms deal, and the stuff that happened at Marshalltown. Dudes just got to stop running into each other in sprint cars and racing in general. Stop driving like idiots. It is the responsibility of the passee not to hit the passer. We went through the bullet train. By next year, you know, all you construction workers, you're going to be out of work. No money. $20+ billion. The great Julie Watts report from CBS 8, we broke that down. Javier Baccaria with the Power Hour. And no, he's not channeling Robert Schuller of the Crystal Cathedral in Orange County. He's not going to be preaching from the State House that he will probably occupy after the first of the year, which I would trade for with this stupid policy that he's going to come up with, but check that out. We'll get to Trump also shutting the money off from the vagrants in SoCal. But first, a follow-up on the FBI raids that were permeating through the Inland Empire, Alan Wapner, former mayor, councilman, and cop of Ontario, another prominent attorney, Chinese broadcaster, supervisor Kurt Hagman, which represents the Chino Hills and around that area, was also, his home was raided. He issued a statement, which he posted. I was among several individuals served with a federal search warrant as part of an ongoing investigation. No charges have been filed against me because this is an active matter. I am limited in what I can responsibly say. Which begs the question, as it goes away from me, what can you irresponsibly say? Oh, man. This has been going on all day. Everything goes poof. It's one of those, as they say, exasperating days. Anyway, he went on to say, I'm still going to be a supervisor. I'm not going to some of the committees on whatever SCAG or whatever he's on. He's not going to participate in. But he believes he hasn't done anything to disqualify him of being supervisor. So that's the update from the Kurt Hagman on the FBI raids in SoCal. CBS, our local affiliate here, covered Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and company coming out to SoCal. Now that they got the money shut off, at least the federal money, for the stupid train, now they're turning their attention to the vagrants and the hospice fraud that's been going on here in California, SoCal in particular, been running rampant. Here's the CBS 2 report. Hopefully, here we go.
The federal government is done paying for what they call LA's homeless industrial complex.
Housing.
Let's hope the hell so. No, I don't know if more words today could make me any happier. The federal government is no longer pouring billions or millions or whatever into vagrant and hospice fraud in Southern California. More from the CBS 2 report.
Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner and Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. renewed their push to cut off federal funding to the region's top homeless agency, accusing it of waste and corruption. CBS LA's Gio Insignaris is in Echo.
Waste and corruption. When they're building 200 square foot hovels, that means a studio apartment for $1 million. You can build 10 times that. You can build developers are selling you a 2,000 square foot single family home in Moreno Valley for half the price. 10 times the house for half the money. How could there be any fraud or corruption? Holy Moses.
Park to break down the claims. Gio.
Rudabeh, Pat, good evening to you both. That's right. We are at the Dream Center here in Echo Park, an organization that both secretaries held up as a model for what they consider proper homeless spending and the money used to help those who are struggling with homelessness. Both of them argued that any taxpayer money should be tied to measurable results and that any organization receiving federal funding should be held accountable for how those dollars are spent. But that message is meeting some resistance from a federal judge and from the organization that they are trying to defund. At the Dream Center, a faith-based organization that takes people off the street and into recovery, 2 Trump cabinet secretaries put taxpayer-funded homelessness programs in LA on notice, including the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, also known as LAHSA.
They will not receive another cent of American taxpayer money until they can account for every single dollar.
Here's Scott Turner. Housing and Urban Development Secretary under the Trump administration. They are not getting another freaking dollar until they can prove that there's no fraud and corruption in $1 million for a 200 square foot studio apartment. And the list goes, we've been through them forever. As they say, as slam dunk case, this is why we've got to elect Herb Morgan as controller. In California, he can do the same thing. The controller, if he suspects fraud or corruption going on, he can shut the money off. He is the controller of California's money. Or he should be after the first of the year in 2027, if we have any sort of brains left.
Housing Secretary Scott Turner says the agency has spent hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars with little accountability and zero results, arguing that California's failed policies have ignited a, quote, drug-fueled homelessness crisis.
The days of funding corrupt failure are over. The Trump administration will not fund a homeless industrial complex any longer.
Back
again. This time my head's going to explode in ecstasy. We're not going to waste. We're going to shut the money off from this, which by every count that looks like fraud, waste, and abuse is not even close to explaining what's been going on.
In June, LAHSA filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development after it moved to suspend critical federal homelessness funding for the Los Angeles region, a fight today's announcement only escalated. The secretaries say the fix is to stop writing blank checks and steer the money to results and to faith-based programs like the Dream Center.
We don't minister just to people's need, we minister to people's potential.
Compassion requires us to ask whether a program works, whether money reaches the people who need it, and whether those people are becoming healthier, safer, and more independent.
But the message from the podium runs
Royism 101. No matter how well-intentioned, 98.7% of every government program winds up in graft, corruption, and failure. And I don't doubt for a moment that some people thought, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to fix it. Like Newsom with the Tax the Rich White Boys Act. Prop 63, they sold because they know how to tug at your heartstrings. Oh, we're going to do all this. We're going to end vagrancy. There will be no more people with mental illness on the street or know nothing. By 2009, in 5 years, we're going to have it done. Sound like the bullet train. We're going to do this. Judge, we're going to buy the train. We're going to buy the actual trains. 2 years later, where are the trains? Trains? What trains? This is exactly the same thing. Like with the hospice deal and the vagrants and everything. Like Bobby Kennedy said, people were living forever. Oh, because the checks kept coming in.
Right into the courts. Just last Friday, a federal judge struck down the Trump administration's plan to overhaul more than $4 billion in homeless funding nationwide. It's the second time this year a judge has blocked the effort. And here in L.A., about $240 million is on the line. A late August deadline to apply is looming. But with losses funding under threat and the ruling throwing the timeline into question, it's far from settled.
The housing first model is a failed model. We're committed to the reforms that we're putting forth.
Meantime,
we know it's been proven housing first is a failed model. Thank goodness Riverside, and they're trying to get it back. There's people out, led by Clarissa Cervantes, councilwoman who wants to move up to the assembly in the State House and control, Are we going to be that stupid? Vote for Leticia Castillo, Assembly Member in District 58 at Delgado and 60. Or you're going to get more of this. They're just going to steal more money from you. They're going to take from your family and give it to the oligarchs. Because that's what's happening, you DSA members. You got a legitimate gripe of what's going on, but your solution is going to make the problem exponentially worse. And the big word exponentially means you're in deep doo-doo, as George Poppy Bush, President 41, said.
in response to today's announcement, LASA called the Trump administration's accusations not based on fact, saying in a statement, quote, "As numerous audits have shown, no evidence of abuse or graft has ever been presented. In addition, we have cooperated with the federal government on their provider fraud investigations. It is unfortunate that they continue to play politics with funds that keep more than 11,000 vulnerable people housed in our community." Now, the court fight over LA's funding is separate from that nationwide ruling. A judge here could decide by the end of the month deadline whether that money keeps flowing. In the meantime, we also reached out to Mayor Bass's office for comment on today's event, but we've yet to hear back.
Buffoon Bass is not refuting. She's not out there saying it's a mean and evil Trump. If she thought Trump and the Trump administration were full of crap, filing a frivolous lawsuit, intentionally taking food out of the vagrants' mouths, there would have been air raid sirens going off. They would have rented planes with banners. They would hire helicopters with, like the cops, they'd have the cops out there with helicopters, the microphone saying, hey, Fred's missing, or stay in your house, there's a violent criminal out there. They'd be saying, that Trump. Buffoon Bass is saying nothing. Inquiring minds want to know why. I think we know why. Holy Moses, it's like, how do we get ourselves in to these humongous pickles? Nancy Pelosi, longtime congresswoman, from the 80s, hooked onto the Burton train. Burton died. His wife took over the seat. She died. Pelosi was in that clique in the San Fran area. Burton was running. He was running the Senate and the Assembly before that. Got elected to Congress. that old thing gone sheeted, and then she, 40 plus years later, she's retiring. What is she? Older than Methuselah now. Now she's right thinking on what went on with Slow Joe in 2024. She didn't know. She didn't know till June of 24 that Joe Biden had any sort or had any sort of condition that he was not the sharpest person that ever walked on the earth. She was on a Politico deal broadcast by C-SPAN.
Up earlier about President Biden's decision to run for re-election in 2024.
No, I didn't really know, quite frankly.
Didn't know.
Let me just say what I did about Joe Biden, because it's been written about in a way that really didn't happen. All I said to him was this, and you're going to hear this for the first
I don't know why.
time. And so is he.
I guess I'm writing. Go ahead.
First off, and the guy was going to notice how, and this is why Nancy Pelosi was successful. Not that I liked what she was doing or agreed with hardly anything she ever did. She was one of the most effective speakers of the House ever, and the only female we've ever had. She only had, what, two or three or five, about like what Mike Johnson's got now, and she ruled that Democratic caucus with an iron fist. And if you crossed her in any way, ask Katie Porter, the hammer would come down on you like you never thought it could come down before. Notice when she's like, I had no idea Joe Biden, and the moderator's looking like, you got to be, no, you didn't. And notice how she cut him off and do that. That's why Nancy Pelosi was successful. Here's more from Mrs. P.
Ready.
I only said to President Biden, I've come to question the polling that you have and how your campaign is being conducted.
Yeah.
I think there has to be a better campaign to win the White House.
What do you say?
And so,
Did you see? Oh, I forgot to do the deal. But she's doing the hand gestures. She's doing the hand gestures of Gavin Newsom. Where do you think he learned this crap?
it's always a thing about women talking, you know. So, let me finish, okay? So,
did you see the... Where do you think Gavin Newsom got this stuff? They're doing this to distract you because they're lying through their freaking teeth. Oh, I was concerned about the polling? No, you knew. You knew you were going to lose more House seats if you kept running Biden. You were going to lose more Senate seats.
So anyway, I said, I would, now
does that laugh, she sounds like, that laugh is exactly like a witch. You should see the hairpins coming out and the broom coming on when she does that, or whatever, laughing hyena, witch's brew laugh. You know you're in deep trouble when you hear that.
This is what I asked. I didn't ask him not to run or anything like that. This is what I asked. I would hope that we could have some other pollsters come in and sit with your pollster and discuss what they hear out there.
Again, this is unbelievable. But again, you know where Gavin Newsom gets the training? Look at that. we need to run a side-by-side with this and Gavin Newsom. With no sound, just the hand gestures. Because again, that's just a distraction. It's like the magician. Well, he's waving the right hand, he's pulling the trick with the left. Man, oh man, oh man. Before we bail out today, we ran the story the other day. They hit a auto parts store twice in 24 hours, and then another one. I think it was AutoZone here in SoCal. Well, now they're hitting a 7-Eleven up in NorCal twice. Here's the Bay Area NBC report. We go.
Tuesday, I'm Raj Mathai.
And I'm Jessica Aguirre. Brazen and violent. That is how the owner of a 7-Eleven in Oakland is describing the barrage of robberies he's faced in his store on 5th and International Boulevard. It was hit by a mob of smash and grab thieves, not once, but twice, and on the same day, and all caught on camera. Our Damian Trujillo has spent the day talking to him. He joins us now.
The owner also owns this convenience store in the East Bay as well, and he says he can't afford to close. It happened on Saturday in the middle of the day. Video shows a large group of people storming a 7-Eleven on 5th and International in Oakland.
It is very scary, because we can cover the cost of the damage, but we can't take a life back, bring a life back.
D.A. Brar says this is the 5th time this year his 7-Eleven has been hit by robbers and vandals. On Saturday, he says the clerk locked the doors after the first crime, but then they came back.
They decided to break in, The
5th time. The 5th time. He's been hit this year. Twice. In the same day, the other day, the second time after they locked the doors. And they boarded them up. And they come in again. We got to get tougher about this stuff. We've got to grow some balls. You need a good life. I mean, if we have to get back to the Wild West days, or like Texas, I don't know if they're still this way. Maybe they've got weak knees. But I believe we're going to have to get back to the point, if we're going to stop this stuff. If you walk onto somebody's private property, business, commercial, industrial, home, vagrant apartment, and you are not invited on, you have the right to use whatever force necessary to get them off your property. I can't remember his name, the guy from Norco, when the guys were robbing him, he pulls out the 12 gauge. I mean, it's a shame that we have to get, or even contemplate that. And I'm not advocating anybody doing anything illegal. But man, we're going to have to rethink a lot of stuff, or this is going to get worse. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary for the great Donald Trump, and I think maybe the press secretary of all time, announced her retirement coming up very soon. She just had her second child, and she said, I can't be a mom of two and devote the time to being the press secretary, so she will soon be leaving that job. And I say, man, we're going to lose, because like I said, I thought she was great. She was great on the campaign trail. Maybe the best, in my book, maybe the best press secretary for a president of all time. So we wish Caroline Leavitt well. And she said she's still going to remain as an advisor to Donald J. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 23 hours. Why? The best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it.